Ah, is this sweet? I can't tell.
Hi.
Hi.
We're here with a movie review.
Wow.
We
What
don't
a lovely day.
we don't get to do those too much. So what we saw, Mad Max Fury Road today.
Today it came out.
Yeah.
Today, I don't know what today's date is.
May 15th.
Thank you, because I'm dumb. I know it's a
E3
five.
is in 1 month. Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly 1 month.
But we're not here to talk about
We're
E3.
gonna talk about Mad Max,
We're here to talk about cars and explosions and
deserts,
yeah.
and what a lovely day it is.
This
what a
first-
day it is.
This is the first Mad Max movie in 30 years. Mad Max is an old movie trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
With Mel Gibson.
So, this one has some fucking people in it, and some shit goes haywire, blows up. That's it. That's all you need to know. End of the video. Yeah, let's just start. What do you guys think, man?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Again, because I think it was harkening to like the again, you said it's first Mad Max movie in 30 years, so I think it's harkening back to the 80s style action movie where everything is really over the top, from the concept, which is a post nuclear apocalypse world where
There's no
everything is desert, and water is basically like the
Gone.
well, it's like currency. Water equals power.
Yeah.
Whoever has the water has power. And to like the character design, where like
Costumes are very over the top.
very much so, which is cool. It works for it. So trying to think how to describe the plot without giving anything away. Well, of course you follow a guy named Max who's haunted by
Something from his past.
except for his past involving his family, not being able to save people. And he ends up getting brought on this journey by, crap, what's the chick's name?
Furiosa.
Furiosa, to basically make it to this place called the Green Place. And basically the entire movie is following them trying to basically get redemption and make it to there. And along the way, lots of cars get blown up. And I mean,
Literally.
lots of cars get blown up. And one of the things, because I went in, I was like, this will just be a fun movie to watch, and didn't have too high of expectations for it. But I mean, I didn't get bored at all watching it. Like every bit of action sequence where they're fighting different cars coming up, or on the war rig, or fighting a bunch of guys on motorcycles. Like it's all different. Like, and the sequences were really imaginative, really well thought out. From like guys who were on like these giant pole things that lean in and they attack, to throwing spears that cause the cars to blow up, to some dude blindfolded firing machine guns at both hands.
Richard.
Like, it's really over the top, but it's really good kind of over the top. Tom Hardy does a good job as Max. Again, being that with like how this fits like an 80s action movie, a lot of the characters are very 80s action movie, including Max. Like, the typical very, very macho, doesn't talk much kind of protagonist. On the part of all the protagonists, like there's a lot happens with very little dialogue, which works. It works for this movie, And you're kind of always seeing Max. I mean, it's called Mad Max, and the guy's batshit crazy. Like, but everything works. I mean, the only things that I'd say I had a little bit of a problem with was the first 30 minutes of the movie were really confusing. It took me a little while to grasp what was happening until like after the first big action sequence. Like, it took me until then, and then I was like, okay, now I kind of get what's going on. But up until that point, I was like, shit's blowing up. I don't know why. Why are they trying to kill this guy? What I don't get it. And then, like I said, after a while, things made sense. Also, a couple of the subplots didn't pan out. Between
Buried in me?
yeah, in me, between the buried in me. Between fuck,
I'll bury something.
what's damn it,
Nuts?
Nux. Between Nux and the
Redhead.
chick.
Yeah.
Like there was like a romance subplot, but then like
But there wasn't.
there was like one scene
Yeah.
to set it up, and then it's just like, oh, they like each other a lot. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it was kind of random. Yeah.
I was like, okay. Like if that would have panned out a little bit more, and that might have been cool, but it just kind of seemed like it was there to be there. Other than that, I mean, the movie was a blast to watch. Like I said, I didn't get bored watching it throughout any part of it, and they caught you off guard a couple times. I'm not gonna say how, but like there's a couple moments where you either think somebody's okay, or you think that the movie's gonna end here, and then it just keeps going, and it's like but it pays off and it works really really well. So I like it. I had fun, lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely an excellent movie. I'm not going to expound too much on the plot because Keith pretty much already handled all that. This movie is pretty much I wouldn't call it a sequel to the original Mad Max trilogy from the 80s with Mel Gibson. I'd call it more of a spiritual successor to them because it's not quite a reboot, not quite a sequel. It just kind of, it just kind of throws you into the world of Mad Max, grabs you by the balls, and doesn't let go the whole time. And it really doesn't, because almost every bit of this movie has something going on in it. This is just probably one of the most action-packed movies I have seen in years. I can't think of a movie that's had more action sequences packed into a movie than this one. And it's not that it wasn't great to watch, because it didn't get boring. There wasn't every time a fight broke out or some new shit went down that happened to the war rig, there was always that bit of tension there, something that was keeping it fresh. The way that the war boys and the different bandit groups attacked the vehicle was completely different from, like he said, the exploding spears to chains to spikes to... I've never seen so many ways to destroy a car ever. And it honestly was fresh the whole time, and I didn't get bored watching cars getting blown up and destroyed. And yes, there was a plot there. There wasn't much of a plot, but I think there was enough of a plot there to justify all of the destruction. And when we were walking out, Tyler just has this big shit-eating grin on his face and said, "Dude, so many explosions." And that's pretty much what it was. It wasn't Michael Bay ridiculous explosions.
Lots of small explosions.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like... There was a lot of destruction, but it didn't seem like, the Avengers or some of these other huge blockbuster movies where entire cities are being destroyed. It was more fast-paced, short, very destructive bursts than just block leveling, alien invasions. But it was still still a very good movie. I like the fact that Keith used the word protagonist to describe Max and not the word hero, because I really don't think Mad Max fits the hero description. He's more of an anti-hero, I guess you could call him that.
Yeah.
But he is part of the reason the plot moves along. So he is a protagonist. But it almost didn't feel like it was about him. The whole movie seemed like it was more about Furiosa and her story and her purpose, and Max was just there
For the ride.
kind of along for the ride as a third party observer who really didn't have a stake in the game. He didn't have a horse in the race. So yeah, it was definitely an excellent movie.
Yeah. I mean, this movie was really, really good, man. It was just entertaining the entire way through. I just thought the whole way it was filmed and everything, like, just the scenery, the costumes, everything was so over the top. You had this desert, but then you had these fucking insane people in it. And this movie was about just as insane as the people that are in it. The way they act, the way they like fight with each other, and they just yell and scream, and it's just like, what the fuck? Man, it's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts.
This is a world where hope has fled the bottom of Pandora's box.
Basically, it's just literally insane. And you know, some movies, like, I felt the Avengers: Age of Ultron, like the action kind of went on a little too long sometimes. But with this movie, it's mostly action, about 75% of it. But the thing is that there's so much tension in the action where you're like, how are they going to get out of this? How's Max going to get out of what's happening right now? These guys are attacking over here. How are they going to get through this? You know, where is a movie like Avengers, you're just there watching. You know they're going to get out of it some way. There's never really that much excitement to it. Where this one is just like, whoa, because there was always something new with every scene, a new weapon.
And it had a reason. There was a purpose for all of it.
Yeah. And it's just like, this is fucking refreshing, almost. It was really cool to watch the action. I thought it was cool. I can agree with Keith, where it was a little confusing in the beginning, but then it all kind of hits you at once, like, oh, this is this chick, this is what's happening, this is why these people are with it, these are where she's going, and, you know, it was cool. You know, yeah, there really wasn't much dialogue. I mean, I agree with a lot of what these guys say, so I'm not going to go on too long. To me, just the most fascinating part about it was just this world is just fascinating to me. This
and they don't address it.
Post-apocalyptic world. No, not really.
They really don't.
Like, you don't. I mean, unless you probably watched the movies before, which I haven't seen them at all. You know, you don't know why Max is getting chased down in the beginning at all. You don't know why they're really holding him down and wanting him dead.
You don't know
that
why
type
the
of
world
stuff.
is the way it is.
But it almost doesn't matter. You almost don't need to know who Mad Max is or anything. Just because of the way it's almost, like these guys said, not about him. But it kind of works. And I just felt like the moments where there was maybe more heartfelt type stuff, it went on for just the right amount of time. And it didn't take itself too overly serious or anything. It was just, here it is. Done. Move on. This movie moves very, very fast. And even moments when they're like filming Max and he's the centerpiece of this scene. Like, everything is so fast because he's like insane. And it's almost like they wanted you to see what he's seeing type of thing. And how his world actually is. And at first I was like, this is just weird. Like, why is everything moving so fast? And then you kind of realize why. It's just stuff like that just add a lot to it. But I mean, some of the like designs and some of the shit these people have on, and some of the weapons and the cars is just
somebody had a field day.
Awesome.
Somebody had a field day designing all
Yeah.
that.
I think because like
so cool.
you sit there and it's probably with somebody was like, let's do this, and then
Yeah. There's one vehicle where there's this dude just jamming with a fucking guitar.
And he's got like
it's
a wall of
insane
like
looking.
half stacks. It's
Yeah,
like,
and then there's dudes behind him on these drums just and it's like, wow, these guys need some jams when they're blowing shit up.
And like, there wasn't much to the world, but the set pieces they did show were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like that huge sandstorm.
Oh
Like just
That
like,
was, like, the
the
coolest
times they drew back, because most of the movie was like very tight shots, very
Because
close
mostly
up
in the
stuff.
war break. Like, you're
Yeah,
mostly
and
doing-
it, you know, there's really not a whole lot to see in the desert.
Mhm.
But they made, when they pulled back and they showed you that wider shot, they
Yeah.
made it very effective.
Yeah.
With Citadel and you know how that looks, and like I said, that huge fucking sandstorm
Mhm.
that they drive. That whole scene was amazing.
Yeah. I agree. The sandstorm scene was probably the coolest scene, in my opinion. It's probably my favorite. I also thought the soundtrack to this movie was excellent.
Yeah.
And it
Yes.
really, really complimented
And it was
what
mostly
going
engine
on.
sounds.
Yeah.
And then also, I also think that I noticed with you since you brought up the soundtrack is again a very, I recognized a lot of the pieces and I'm like, yeah, that's from like 80s movies. I'm like, yeah, like it fit. Like again, the whole, like I said, the whole 80s action flick theme. It's like boom. It's like yeah, okay, I know what that's from. Yeah, that's cool. So
Yeah. This is very much a bro date movie.
Yeah.
Very much
I-
a bro date movie.
I also thought that this movie was going to sequel bait hard. Like,
And it didn't.
4 or 5 different times, and it didn't do it. Actually, it was a very satisfying ending. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was an ending that fit
More-
the character of Max.
Mhm. I mean, if they made another one, I'd go fucking.
But
see
it doesn't even have to be a direct sequel.
they could just
Because they didn't sequel bait.
Yeah, but in ways, like, what do you do for the next one? There's gonna be more shit blowing up, probably.
more cars to drive.
More
Well, I mean,
insane people.
You know, they said this won't really tie into the game. But,
True.
you know, they did mention the Plains of Silence in the movie, which, you know, in the game you're trying to get across them, I believe.
Possibly, I don't know.
You're in the
anything
you're in
about
the same general area as well in the game.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's a good movie. Yeah, you should go. Guys, give it.
I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, 8.5. That's what I give it. Because it was good. Couple little things there, but again, entertaining to watch, fun. If you like movies that where lots of shit blows up, this is definitely for you. Yeah, fun times.
having sat and reflected on this movie and hearing these guys, you know, talk about it as well and sitting in my own thoughts, I'm gonna go up from my original score that I told these guys I was thinking of on the way back and give it an 8.25 out of 10. Up from my original 7.5 out of 10. The dialogue was great, even though there wasn't a whole lot of it. It was beautifully filmed, lots of action, with a purpose.
9 out of 10 for me. This movie's fucking solid. Solid as fuck.
I'll give you a solid fuck.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah.
when the camera's off.
Alright.
Bye. See you tomorrow. Woohoo!